You tell your child they are brilliant. You tell them they are the smartest kid in the room. You say it because you love them. You say it because you want them to believe in themselves. But something strange happens. The child who spent years hearing how gifted they are walks into a classroom, faces a problem they cannot immediately solve, and falls apart. Not because they lack ability. Because of the praise. This is not a parenting failure. It is a neuroscience trap. And millions of parents fall into it every single day without knowing it exists. For decades, praising children was treated as the cornerstone of healthy development. The logic seemed unshakable. If a child feels good about themselves, they will take on challenges. If they believe they are capable, they will push through difficulty. So parents praised. Teachers praised. The entire educational system built itself around the idea that confidence was the engine of achievement. It turns out, the type of praise matters more than anyone realized. And getting it wrong does not just fail to help. It actively causes harm. In the 1990s, psychologist Carol Dweck and her colleagues at Columbia University ran a series of experiments that would quietly change everything we thought we knew about motivation and learning. They took hundreds of children, gave them a moderately difficult puzzle, and watched what happened when the children completed it. Then they divided the children into two groups. One group was told they must be really smart. The other group was told they must have worked really hard. That was the only difference. Just a few words at the end of a puzzle. What followed revealed something about the human brain that should be required reading for every parent on Earth. The children who were praised for being smart became afraid. Not in the dramatic sense. No one cried. No one ran from the room. But when the researchers offered them a choice between a harder puzzle and an easier one for the next round, the majority of the smart praised children chose the easy puzzle. They had just been told they were intelligent. And now they were protecting that label. Because somewhere in the developing brain, a calculation had already happened. If I am smart and I fail this harder puzzle, people will see that I am not actually smart. The safest move is to stay where I cannot fail. The children praised for effort made the opposite choice. They chose the harder puzzle. They were not protecting an identity. They were chasing a process. And when the researchers gave all the children a genuinely hard puzzle, the difference became stark. The effort-praised children leaned in. They tried strategies. They persisted longer. The smart-praised children became visibly distressed. Many of them started lying about their scores when asked to report them afterward. They inflated their results. Because failure, for a child who has been told they are gifted, does not feel like a setback. It feels like exposure. This is what Dweck would later call the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And it lives or dies in the language a parent uses during the most ordinary moments of a child's day. A fixed mindset tells the brain that intelligence is a thing you either have or you do not. It is a property, like height or eye color. You are born with it. It does not change. When that belief takes root, every test, every challenge, every moment of confusion becomes a diagnostic. Am I smart or am I not? The answer feels terrifyingly permanent. So the child does everything in their power to avoid situations that might return the wrong answer. A growth mindset tells the brain something entirely different. It says that intelligence is not a ceiling. It is a direction. The brain can expand. Skills can be built. Confusion is not evidence of limitation. It is evidence that learning is happening. When a child holds this belief, failure does not threaten their identity. It informs their strategy. But here is what most parents do not realize. You cannot simply give a child a growth mindset by telling them about it. You build it or destroy it through the texture of hundreds of small moments. The comment after the spelling test. The reaction when they bring home a B instead of an A. The words you reach for when they struggle with fractions. These moments accumulate. And over time, they wire the child's relationship with difficulty itself. Stanford neuroscientist Jason Moser has studied what happens inside the brain the moment a person makes a mistake. What his team found using electroencephalography was that two distinct signals fire in rapid succession. The first is an automatic error detection signal. Every brain produces it. But the second signal, one associated with attention and reflection, is significantly stronger in people with growth mindsets. Their brains are more engaged by mistakes. They are physiologically more interested in what went wrong. The children praised for effort are building brains that treat errors as data. The children praised for being smart are building brains that treat errors as threats. This has consequences that reach far beyond report cards. Think about the teenager who refuses to try out for the team because they might not make it. Think about the student who picks the easiest elective because they cannot risk damaging their GPA. Think about the young adult who stays in the wrong job because trying something new means risking failure in public. The roots of that avoidance were planted much earlier, often with the best intentions. There is also what researchers call the overjustification effect, documented by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan at the University of Rochester. Their research found that when you reward a child excessively for something they were already intrinsically motivated to do, you can actually reduce their natural motivation for that activity over time. A child who loves drawing does not need to be told they are a gifted artist every time they pick up a pencil. When the external reward becomes the main source of value, the internal fire dims. The child begins to draw for the praise. When the praise stops, or when the praise feels uncertain, the pencil goes down. This is why the empty trophy, the participation ribbon given regardless of effort, and the constant stream of "you are so amazing" actually weaken the thing they are trying to build. Children are extraordinarily sensitive to authenticity. They can tell when praise is automatic. And when they can, they stop trusting it entirely. Praise loses its signal when it loses its meaning. So what should you actually say? The shift is simpler than it sounds but requires more attention than most parents expect. Instead of "you are so smart," try "I noticed you kept trying even when that part was hard." Instead of "you are a natural athlete," try "your footwork has really improved since last month." Instead of "you are the best artist," try "I love the way you used color in that corner." The difference is specificity and process. You are naming what the child did, not what the child is. You are giving them a behavior they can repeat, not an identity they have to protect. When a child fails, which they will, often, the most powerful thing a parent can say is not "it is okay, you are still brilliant." That response, however well-meaning, is actually reassurance for the parent's discomfort, not the child's growth. The more honest and ultimately kinder response is "that was hard. What do you think you might do differently next time?" That question treats the child as a capable person in a temporary learning moment, not a fragile vessel holding a status that must be preserved. Developmental psychologist Lisa D'Amour has noted that children need to experience struggle as survivable, not prevented, not immediately fixed. Survivable. A parent who rushes in to smooth over every difficulty is unknowingly teaching the child that difficulty is dangerous and that they cannot handle it alone. The child who learns that they can sit with a hard problem, not because they are a genius but because they have the capacity to figure things out, is building something that intelligence alone cannot buy. None of this means withholding warmth. None of it means becoming cold or calculating in how you speak to your child. The love stays. The encouragement stays. What changes is the target of that encouragement. You stop aiming at what your child is. You start aiming at what your child does. You stop trying to give them an identity to stand on and start helping them build a process to stand behind. Because the child who grows up believing they are smart is always one hard problem away from collapse. But the child who grows up believing that hard problems are exactly where they are supposed to be, that struggle is not a sign that something is wrong but a sign that something is being built, that child will walk into the same difficult room and feel something the other child never quite could. Not certainty. Something better. Curiosity. And the next time your child brings home a puzzle they cannot solve, you will know exactly what to say. Not because you love them any more or less than before, but because now you understand what love, aimed correctly, actually builds.